Hey people, I'm the Broken Puppet and welcome to Brokenpuppet Tattoo. We're fully open now, so if you want tattoos, just check the details below, contact us and I'll sort you out. But for now, got another tutorial for you. This one is how to draw a woman's face. Now it's 3/4 length, 3/4 kind of angle, so it's kind of like that kind of way. And it's not quite old school, it's not quite new school, it's kind of a mix in between. I'm sure you're going to love it. You know, it's kind of post-Victorian, kind of burlesque kind of vibe to it. And it's really cool, so yeah, I took you through line work, shading, colouring, well not colouring, kind of highlights, black and white, you get the drift. Yeah, so enjoy and I'll see you next time. Right people, how to draw a woman's face. Kind of like this. Now it's not quite old school, it's not quite realistic, it's kind of like a new style, you know, it's kind of been done, you know, I mean, it's been done for a little while. You know, you've got quite a few Australian artists been doing it. You know, it's got the old school principles, but it's just got a much more realistic, you know, sort of, you know, vibe to it. You know, it's kind of new schoolish, but it's, at the same time, it's kind of got that old kind of Victorian kind of burlesque vibe to it. So it's going to be something similar to this. It's a different tutorial, kind of like that. So here goes. So what you want to do, just start off with like an oval shape, or like a circle shape to begin with, like that. And then you want to make this like circle shape into like an egg shape. Now this is where you want the chin to be roughly. And you want to come down at a point, come across, and then tilt up a little bit into the circle rather than join up at the edge. That'll give you a much better sort of, you know, perspective for the chin. Now from that chin, sketch up a line, going up centre, line across, just a bit higher than halfway I'd say. And the back. And then just carry on from where this corner bit is here, just drag a little line just across like this. And that just give you a rough idea of where you want the neck to be. So you know you want the neck to be roughly about that far past the chin. This neck bit here you don't really have to worry about because you're not going to really see too much of this because of the hair. Right, now I've done that. I'm going to go straight into Sharpie. Now you can stick with pencil for now if you want to plot things out a bit better. I'm going to just go into Sharpie to show you. Right, so the nose is going to be roughly about here. So about halfway between the two lines. That's where you kind of want the end of the nose to be. Now to start with, just going to start with the nostril. Now the nostril is just a bit more to this side. It's going to start off with just like a really quick tip like that. So it's like a little curve. Underneath that, just bring like a little kind of V shape, and that's kind of going to go into where the next nostril is. Now this bit's going to curve around this way, and then this one's going to curve around this side. So if you come a little bit lower than this, curve around like so. So you're making kind of semicircle shape just around the edge of that one. And now this bit I like to kind of make a bit kind of pointy. You know, you want the tip, you want to make sure there's a difference between the tip and the nose. You know, I like to make sure the tip's a bit more pointy. So it comes about there, and then I straighten out the nose. Bring that up, and I'm just going to curve that off to the side. Real simple like that. Now at this stage what you can do, you can just mark out again the shape of this. So if you come across, follow the nostril shape, curve down the tip just here. Like that. And that gives you an idea of how the bottom bit is compared to the top, you know, so you get the 3D box. From here, you can bring in your curved shape here. That shows you the difference between the tip of the nose and the bottom. And then from here, straight line up, curving round onto there, and that gives you an idea of where the bridge of the nose is. I know some people tend to get lost with this because they start off and they don't know the difference between the gaps or where to start the shading. So I'm just going to block it out as I go along so you guys can see. I'm going to start off with the eye on this side, I think. And that's quite simple. Where this V gap is, where you roughly want to start. I'm going to bring this out, curve, and up. And I'm going to start from the top one. I'm going to curve this up, down, touch, and around. Just join those gaps up in between. And now on the inside bit of the eye, I always make a little curve here so you get a little cap, you know, that little bit just on the inside of the eye. Underneath this I'm going to carry a line, leaving just a little white gap and cut it into the outside, just making like a little shadow just underneath the eye. Above the eye, just going to bring a line up, flick it down. And once I've done that, I'm going to thicken up this top one. So I always like the top of the eye to be a bit thicker than the bottom. Once you've done that, just draw in a circle. Circle in the middle for now. Now you can put it anywhere, you know, it depends on where you want her to look. You know, for this one she's going to just be kind of staring forward. Once you've done that, carry on this line up, just a touch, curve up and down. Now I like it to kind of curve here, so it joins up with the eye. And then you turn this bit into the eyebrow, so you just connect a little line from beneath that, drag it across, just going symmetric with the line and then catch on the edge. So it's real simple, you just copy in the line but just lower and touching. Now we'll add a few eyelashes in a bit. Well, I'll save a couple now, but a few on the end, a couple just going around. Now you can put ones on the bottom bit. You know, I tend to only put a couple if I'm going to put any. And a lot of the time I just leave the bottom bit empty, to be honest. Right, and now the gap. This is why I know a lot of people seem to get lost. They seem to do the eyes too far, too close apart. The rough length for this eye is going to be roughly about this gap at this kind of perspective. So about that, it's about there. And that's roughly where you're going to want the edge of the eye bit to be. So if you want to get a rough idea, you can sketch in your kind of oval shape. Step back, look at it and kind of think, is that the right kind of place for the eye? Does it look about right? And then you can make your adjustments. So I'm going to go with that. So we're going to do this little kind of indent curve. So just like a little kind of curve inwards to start with. Then we're going to go up. And I'm going to drag this out across. And I'm going to flick it off to the edge a couple of times. Come back, I'm just going to thicken it up a touch. Because like I said, I like the top eyelid to always be a bit thicker than the bottom one. I'm going to carry this line around here. And join back up. You know, so you always want this kind of line to curve up into that eye shape. Again underneath, just create a line. Going symmetric, just leaving a little white gap. Just creates a little under eye shadow. Now at this stage I know because a few people tend to get the eye position kind of wrong. Sketch it in with pencil first. To see if it looks right. Look back, if it looks right then pen it in. Just going to put a little white highlight bit on the side. Right. Now this corner bit here, where you've got these eye flicks, this is going to connect up to where the eyebrow goes. So what you want is to kind of work out an oval shape here for how high you want this eyebrow to go. And then from that oval shape you can go drag this down and create a loop in between this gap of the nose. Now what this will do is give you the perfect position and where you want to start the shadow for the eyebrow. Bring this, make it a touch bit more pointy, and that's where you want to start the eyebrow. So I'm going to start mine just here. Now the eyebrows don't have to be dead straight. I like to play around with my eyebrow shape. You know, a lot of people kind of thought they have to do one single curved line. You know, it can bend numerous times. As long as you're doing it for a reason, as long as the curves are making sense. Once we've done that, I'm just going to bring this line over the top. Just there. So you've got the top of the eyelid shape, so you can do it at this stage if you want. You know, sometimes you can make like a little overlap. I'm going to put this in just for the sake of doing that, and this kind of one I want normally. Like a little line just there, or cutting across. You know, and this creates like an extra bit of shadow if you wanted to. You know, for this kind of design it's not really necessary, because of the way I've got the eyes. And then I'm just going to add a few little eyelashes. I like my eyelashes to kind of curve just a bit lower than the eyelid initially. And I think it's because a nice little shadow just underneath. Once done that, you roughly got your cheekbone coming from the centre of this bit of the eye down the mouth. Now, I usually do the mouth first, but I think it might help you guys if you sketch in the cheekbone first, and it'll help you get the idea of where the mouth position is. So what you do is you sketch this down, and when you get towards where the bottom lip was, you just curve it a touch to a point, and that creates the chin, you know, the edge of the chin. You want to go straight just for a little bit, just make it a little bit more flat, just to make like the kind of box shape for the chin. You want the box to kind of be here for the chin. And you want to make a slight difference, so when you get to here, you want to just make a curve, just enough so it's clearly different from this curve bit here. Curve that up there, across that way. And then once you've done this, you've got that rough gap in the middle, the nose and the chin. So sketch a line there to the centre bit, you know, roughly that's going to be the centre of the mouth. Now to get an idea, you want to then create like a little circular shape just underneath, in between the nostrils. And that's going to give you an idea of where to start at the top of the lip. See here? So once you do that circle shape, you have this V underneath. That's where you want the top of your lip to be. That's the sweet spot. And now what you don't want is make the sides equal. So I'm going to curve this bit down here. I'm going to create another little V just underneath it, because you always have that little gap in the middle, or the little dip in the bottom of it, you know, use my words here. The little dip just on the bottom of the top lip. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to curve this out. I like to come out pretty far with it. Not stupidly far, but just far enough so I can curve this outside, like concave, so you're curving outwards. So it makes that top lip more full. You know, some people cover the insides, and to me that makes the lips too small and weak. You know, for this kind of style, you want an Angelina Jolie type. You want the big, you know, lips. You know, that sort of cute. You know, yeah, they are cute, I guess. But yeah, you know what I mean. You want those kind of, you know, slightly more fuller lips. You know, it kind of works with this style. Now the bottom one is literally just like a teardrop shape, and then another teardrop shape. So if you imagine the teardrop shape here, and then one just here come off that lip, and then you just sketch around that shape, and you make the lips. So we go there, there. Then you have the line just underneath the chin, just like that. Now you've done that, you can sketch in this cheekbone. Now I'm not going to come all the way across here, because obviously you might have some hair here. I haven't decided yet. You know, so if you haven't decided what you're going to do in an area, just make sure you leave that area blank. You know, don't sort of feel like you have to go over it just yet. Now for this, I'm thinking a flower in the corner of this bit over here. You know, some beads coming across, I think. And then we're going to have like a nice curved block of hair here. I'm going to show you how to do this in more detail. I'm just in my head just getting an idea of where I want to put everything. Curve that. Then this side. I have a curve here as well. So that's going to create my fringe area. Then I'm going to block in a bit here. And then I'm going to have some hair coming. Now the hair is pretty much built up with S shapes. So you see here, like this bit, S shape. Curve underneath, front, another S shape. And that builds up this kind of block, you know, space in the middle. And that's what you want to do. You basically just want to keep building up these kind of block areas. So we come back another S, going the other way. And then I've got a smaller S. That's going to create that little dip in the middle. Carry on the S's through. I'm going to stop that one like there. So that creates that kind of block. Now when you're doing the hair in this kind of style, you want to think more blocks rather than you do like, you know, hair strands. You know, if you're trying to do too strandy, you're going to mess it up and it's not going to look good. You know, just keep playing with those S curves. Do an S curve, and once you got that, just think, do you need another curve off the edge? You know, it's all about creating that sort of feminine kind of nice pattern rather than actual realism. So we're going to curve this way, and I'm going to curve another S. I'm going to create a couple of S's just come off of this one, I think. Yeah, I quite like that. And then have the back. I have a leaf coming off here. Leaf coming off here. So I'm just sketching. I'm just trying to build up, you know, a bit of dynamic sort of, you know, kind of feel to it. So there's something going on in most of the areas. You know, just creates it a bit more interesting. So like here, to make this back a bit more interesting, I'm going to do some pearls going into the back bit of hair that will go behind the flower. Right, to start with, I'm going to do the flower so you get an idea of just how to do like all these basic ones. Now I'm going to come across just like this, it's like a little curve, come to a point, just give them little semicircles till I get to the edge. So it's going to be my first one. I'm going to use that as the base. So think of that as a base one. I'm going to build up on top of this. So I'm going to have one come up here. Just doing like semicircles until you get to the point where you stop, and I'm just going to curve back down. I'm going to create another one off the edge. Just there. And then I'm going to have one going out. I'm going to have a few in the centre, I think, so just nothing too crazy. I'm really going quite basic with this. Now I do have other tutorials where you do like roses and stuff. I'm just building like a really basic kind of flower just to take in this gap. Then yeah, one in this gap I think. Get a little bit of space because I want to add some leaves. Now the leaves I'm going to do quite simple. Just two straight lines, so just slightly a bit apart, joining up at the edge. Come down from the top, come out wide, and then join up at the bottom. Come out wide, then join up at the bottom. I'm just going to do lines across. You can do more kind of pattern ones if you want, and I'm going to have just like a V shape off the edge. V-shape off the edge. And another one or two just around the place. Same principle, come out wide, curve around. Like so. In, out. And we'll just have one more. Just there. You can have them like as far over or as much under as you want. Then just a few little detail lines, just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. And these lines literally just go in the curve of whatever leaf you're doing them on. So this like petal here kind of curves this way, so bang, 2 lines. I will come back with a smaller pen and sort of do a bit more detail in this, but for now I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to block in these hair shapes. So this was my first S curve. Then what I'm going to do, now I've done that, I want to bolden this up, so I'm just going to bring off another little curve off the side and join up in the same place. It just creates like a double kind of block. From this bit I'm going to curve outwards and join up here. I always like the hair to go quite close to the eyebrow. Off the edge here, curve around, come back around this way. And now this curve is going to be kind of different, because I'm going to do this curve in the centre bit here, which I want to overlap. So it's going to be like a inside bit. But this bit around the edge here, if I do the same thing here, it's going to look too thin. So what I want to do is bring this up, go around it to that point, and then I join it up. And now that gap there doesn't look like it's too small. As if I joined it up without doing that, it would have. And I'm just going to repeat these lines, just copying that shape, that bend. I'm just doing this to show those inside curves. That's what I call an inside curve. And then I'm just going to do the same again here. I'm just going to build up a couple, just to build up this block. And I'm going to bring in the S curve just off the edge. Now I'm just going to bring up a couple off this way, and then off the other side. And just keep building off the underside until I get like a little thin tip of the edge. The neck. Always remember that girls do have added apple as well, you know, so you always want a little bit of bend in the neck. Now you can do it straight if you want, but it's never going to be quite as nice if you don't do it with an air of reason. Now here I'm just doing circle shapes. Just going to make some like pearly bits. And that's just like holding this back bit of hair I have in my mind. It's going to go behind this flower, like so. I'm going to have the same thing up here, coming across, just to make like a headpiece. You know, if you get lost with the hair and you want to think of something really cool to do, just go on Google somewhere and look up like burlesque hair pieces, you know, and just like, you know, old Victorian things. You know, any kind of old headpiece will do. Rather than just like, you know, full on hair, you know, just something a bit more. It's got a little bit of a hair lump on the back bit there. And I'm going to bring this curve, like so. And I'm just doing the same thing, I'm just building up just around those edges until I get it to a point, like so. This one, let's go here. Now before I join that up, I'm just going to put in this forehead bit now that I've done that overlap. I'm going to bring in this curve all the way around, joining up with that. Just bring in a few lines for now. You know, always follow the line with the direction of the hair. Curve in, curve in. And this hair bits. I don't normally do this for this style, but I normally do this for geishas, but it's a handy way of just filling in the back piece. So the hair's going back, so I'm just going to angle it all back. It's a real simple technique. Just curve in, just like that. And that just, you know, finish off that back bit of hair. I curve this, and again, I'm just going to bring that up. Around that edge. So see, each time I do a curve, I just work off the inside. Like, see, I've done those two gaps, and now I start on the inside. Curve there to there. Just repeating the exact same concept. Just until I can come happily to a point. Now at this stage, once you've sort of done that, you know, look here and think, is there any more hair strands you want to put in? Now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this gap here looks a bit empty to me, so I'm going to put in one. Just come in with a curve, and I'm just going to build off that curve. You know. Like I said, you get lost with hair, just keep S in mind and then just work off the S. So yeah, look at that now, that just kind of fills in that little gap. Now done that, just going to rub out that pencil work. Do. I will plot in a little bit just on the face, just to give you an idea of where to put the shading. But for now, just get this smooth. just like we had, remember we had this little flick here? And this kind of shows you the shading point for behind the eye. If you draw a little circle up between the eyebrows and there, that's the way the shading goes, you know, above the nose. You know, you can have this curve in the other way depending on the, you know, the expression, but for this one that's kind of relaxed, that's where you want it. Underneath here, if you might imagine, just trace a line just underneath the eye. That's where you want the shading to start for the cheekbone. You know, come across here. That kind of area for that cheek. Obviously no shadow goes underneath. A little bit on the lip. A little bit there. The next shadow will come up like this. You start from the neck bit and you curve outwards. Real simple. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to plot it in so you can see. I'll start off with light and I build up. So I always like the bit behind the eye to be fully shaded in to begin with. Now usually I will leave a gap on, you know, like the highlight bit there, but for now I'm just going to plug that in. Shadow it there. Now if doing with pencil, go a bit lighter, you know, because these markers, they dry up and go a bit lighter. So if it looks a bit strong at the moment, it won't do once it dries. Oh, almost forgot. Inside bit of this eye, wrong pen. Just bringing that little curve just there. There we go. Now, that space underneath that nose, remember that line we sketched in? You see how that just makes the world of difference. Now you got that difference in the shape. Bring a little line up from that nostril bit and a bit on the side. You know, you can bring a shadow down the nose if you want. You know, it's up to you. You know, I tend to not to do too much shadow on the side. You know, I kind of like it to just kind of explain itself a little bit. Just underneath that shadow we done, underneath the eye, line underneath there. Just going to cut the lips and just leave a little line just in the middle bit and just on the top for now. You'll see why in a sec. On the lip. Just underneath any kind of hair overlap, so there. Just a little bit on the chin, or chin line rather, so the line coming across. And that's basically all the locations that you want to put your basic shading in. Now I've done that, I'm just going to darken it out. So I'm going to come in, just darken up like the areas around it. I like to leave a little white highlight in that gap, and just on this gap over here. The rest of this I'm going to do pretty dark. You know, sometimes you can do it jet black if you want. You know, depends on how intense you want the eyes. Looking a little bit not too much here. Just underneath the hair again. And a little bit in the eyes, I think. Sorry about that, people. Battery on a bit dead. Right, where was we? Yes, I'm just going to start just flicking a bit of darker shade in now. This is a black, but it's kind of running out, so I'm able to kind of flick in like a grey tone. You know, if you've got these kind of markers like the flex markers and they start running out, you know, don't throw them away. They're really handy when they get like this. So just working in this kind of dark tone. Bring in the other one. Now the lips I'm going to do very, very dark, just leaving a little white gap. so. And then using that black, I'm just going to extend that shadow underneath the eye. So literally just working from that line downwards, just bringing out that darkness. Like so. Just flick it out in a few of the corner bits. Just a few little dark patches, nothing too crazy. Now the cheeks you can go in like, a lot harder if you want. You can add like a really dark tone blending out. I'm going to leave these ones quite soft, I think. Just going to flick in a little bit just off the side bit here maybe. A little bit there and then just flick in the other grey. As I said before, just work with what you got. If you've got pencil, you can get the same kind of effect. You'll see when it dries it go a little lighter. It's just because it is wet. Right. Now for the hair. Now the hair, like usual, you've seen me do this probably on other ones. I'm going to colour most of it black and select like highlight areas. So I'm going to colour in a block down there. I'm going to leave this block here. And when you get to the edge, I'm going to leave it and fade out that edge. So you see, just colour in the black first, then come in with a dark grey. Just like that. Then come in with a lighter grey. I find it's a lot easier to blend them out when you're sort of working up and down like that. Yeah, it's great. So see, rather than flicking out, you sort of put it in like that, and you can just work down it. It helps give like a really good smooth transition, especially for like the hair and bits. Maybe picked up the wrong pen again, but no worries, I can just fade that out. Now, because this bit's like going underneath, I'm going to have this mostly grey. And black again. Yep, go like that. And I'm going to generally do most of the hair quite dark. For this style, it's very rare that you'll get like a blonde hair. It's always dark browns, dark purples, reds, blacks. I think that's what kind of adds to it. It kind of gives it that kind of a, almost like I said, like Victorian kind of burlesque kind of vibe. It's like an old-fashioned picture. The contrast between the dark and the light just really does it. See, I'm just doing the same technique over and over here, just looking in black sections and working in the greys. Oop, drop the lid. So you see that goes there. It's grey in this area. I'm just going to grey in those like undertone areas. And you don't have to give everywhere a highlight either, Actually, I'm going to do this back bit of hair just sort of black, and what it does is just, sometimes a bit of sort of black can just really add to a picture, even though it's just basic black. It just stands out from the rest. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Almost done. Once I've done this, I'll go over the white highlights. Talk a little bit more theory, probably, a bit more crap. Just ramble on like I usually do. But it helps, I guess. Get in there. And voila. Let's go put a little bit of shadow in the flower. Nothing too much. I want this to stand out quite bright compared to the hair and everything, so just a little bit. Kind of a little negative highlight on these centerpieces. So I'm just colouring even that white edge. Voila. Oh no, I've got a few more. I missed those bits of hair. I'm going blind. Sorry, people. Go over these leaves, just leave a little white highlight in the centre. A little bit of drop shadow. And I was going to colour in the other side just in a bit of a grey tone. Voila. And now that's done, it's going to add some white highlights. Just going to screw sharpen. Now the white highlights, if you're using normal paper, you just leave the areas blank, you know, and just shade everywhere else. You know, it's just so you get an idea of what should be light and what shouldn't be. A little light patch anyway. Just a little bit just inside that white area anyway. Just a little bit in between that little overlap we done there. Circle the edge of the nose. Line going up. You can do a little bit of negative one down here if you want, just like around the nose, the bottom of the nose, just to make it stand out. Now it's all the areas just like around the edge and stuff, you know, so just like here, I want to bring that out. A little bit of white there, just bring out these cheekbone areas. A little highlight on top of the lip, and a little light just through the middle. Cheek, maybe touching the bottom of that chin. I'm not going too crazy with it. Just a little kind of dot and a curve in just each one of these pearly bits. You can put like a highlight in the hair this if you want, but I quite like the way this one looks with it. I might do a couple just to show. So you can kind of go there, just a bit through the middle bits, just where the light highlight streak is. Nothing too crazy. Just like that. And now I'm just going to add a bit of white just around the outside to make this stand out. So literally just going around all the edge. With the white. And you'll see with this kind of, craft paper, it just really makes it jump out. Oh yeah, for those who keep asking, yeah, this is just basic craft paper, nothing special. Get it pretty much any kind of art store, pretty much everywhere really. And it's not like super high quality paper, but I like the effect you can get with the white and the grey. Almost there. Yeah, put it like around a flower if you want, just to make a bit stand out. Just a little bit you can do. Normally I wouldn't really do this on my normal pictures, but you can always use the white to bring out bits if you kind of feel they get a bit lost, like an edge or something. So see how the outline of the flower here kind of got a bit lost. I kind of like that in the image, but some people kind of like, I don't know, might be a bit funny about it. Yeah, just do that. Just a couple little highlight streaks just throughout the flower. Literally just put them with each kind of petal bit. Just going with the shape to show it off. And yeah, there you go. It's basically how to draw a face 3/4 length in that kind of new school, old school, post-Victorian burlesque style, I guess. Whichever way you want to call it, neo-traditionals. Very cool. I'm a big fan of it. If you want to see like a real master of it, check out like Emily Rose, and a lot of Australian artists, in general, they're sort of really picking up this sort of style. There's a lot of things very similar to this, and they're just brilliant at it. So yeah, if you want to see some really good people, check out them. But for now, I'm the Broken Puppet. This is my tutorial. Like it, subscribe, comment, yada yada yada. All the works. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.